That is what the action has to be. It has to be God's plan put to action. Look out here what we're doing right now in the parking lot. Rick's Construction is our company that is doing the work. And do you suppose they just showed up a month ago and started digging up the dirt and said, hey, we got to put a parking lot in, so here we go. No, they had blueprints. They have plans that were approved by an engineer and then to the city and all these things. And every step of the way, every tree down, every drain that was put in, everything is spelled out step by step. And God gives us that same plan. That's what happened to David here. Is David's job wasn't to build the temple, but David's job was to receive the plan. And so his act was to share it with Solomon and tell him exactly the way it was, because if he tried to do it the way he wanted to, instead of the way God wants us to, it's not going to work. We have to remember this. The only plan that can work is from the one who knows what's coming. Who would that be? God. And so if we start to make it, isn't it crazy that we do this all the time? Is it just me? Just me. Thanks, Richard. We do have a lightning arresters on top of this building. We do this all the time. We sit there and we start making these plans and figuring all stuff out and never once talking to God about what's going on and wonder why things aren't working. It's because we have to answer to the one who knows what's coming. We may think we know. Is that a palm reader? Is that some almanac? Is that some end times prophet? No, it's only God. And the only way we know that is to be in relationship with God. Mark 13:32 says, but about that day or hour no one knows, neither the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. So what actions we take have to be from God. Proverbs 19:21 says this, the human mind may devise many plans, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will be established. So what plans have 100% success rate? God's plans. So which ones should we use? Which ones do we use? Our plans. All right. So that's kind of crazy, isn't it? It sounds so easy when I'm up here and talking about it, but the truth of the matter is we tend to want to do it ourselves, and we think we've got the answer, and we think sometimes we see a shortcut, and it never works that way. And the way we should act is following God step by step. The third step is how we should act. Verse 7 says, I will establish his kingdom forever if he continues resolute in keeping my commandments and my ordinance as he is today. In other words, stay tuned in to God. Stay tuned. Stay grounded and stay the course. That's where the proper action and the success is going to be found. Psalm 119 in the Message does a great job of tying all of this up in the first 5 verses. The first verse says, you're blessed when you stay on course, walking steadily on the road revealed by God. Not what I want, not what David wants, but what God wants. And verse 2 says this, it says, you're blessed when you follow his directions, doing your best to find him. Look at the blueprints, folks. Look at what God's laying out before us. Don't act impulsively, but faithfully. And then verse 3 and on, that's right. You don't go off on your own. You walk straight along the road he set. You, God, prescribed the right way to live. Now you expect us to live it. Oh, and I love this the 5th verse. Oh, that my steps might be steady, keeping on the course you set. That should be our hymn. Oh, that my steps might be steady, keeping to the course you set. So ask God to keep you on course. by staying connected with Him. Staying connected with God is an important part. Then Chronicles picks up when what we heard today. Take heed now, for the Lord has chosen you to build a house as a sanctuary. Be strong and act. In the common language it says, look, the Lord has chosen you to build God's house. And when we act, in Ephesians 2:19 through 21, it tells us how God's plan is for us as well. You see, we're a temple. We are God's temple. So then you are no longer strangers and aliens, it says, but you are citizens and the saints and also members of the household of God, built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets, with Jesus Christ Himself as a cornerstone. In Him, the whole structure is joined together and grows into a holy temple in the Lord. Are we building a temple? Yeah, that's exactly what it's telling us. Our passage today, in the last verses, it says, David further said to Solomon, be strong and of courage and... Really? 4 of you? Be strong and courageous and... Yes! That's what He wants. What are we supposed to do? I forget. No, that's what we're called to do. See, we are temple builders. We're temple builders just like Solomon. God has given us this gift of building His temple. And I think it's fascinating that Solomon didn't even hear these words from God. His little mustard seed of faith was from his father David saying to him, you should build the temple. God told me you should build the temple. And Solomon took off and did it. Is that the way we respond? No, but that's the way we should respond, because God expects that of us. He's made us to be faithful followers of Jesus Christ. And so we're called to be that, to be something special for Him. And it's going to take a lot of people to build this temple. In the scriptures it says in 2 different places, actually, that Solomon got 3,600 supervisors, basically is the word. Another place it says 3,300, if you know how the Bible kind of doesn't. So they had this big debate over, well, is it 3,600 or 3,300? Does that matter? No, the point is, these are just the supervisors. This isn't even the people that are going to do the work on the ground. It takes a ton of people to build a temple. And God wants to use each and every one of us. God wants to use all of us to build that temple if we will act in His name. And that's what we're called to do. We are the stones of the temple. And when we act, the stones go from sitting some lumpy field somewhere into being part of the temple. And the temple is growing. Remember, the way we respond makes a kingdom difference.